Right, so we have this little environment in this house. Let's go ahead and hide these houses here, just to kind of. And it looks like my light is also in here. Let's see, here's the gray boxes. So let's just hide these. There we go. And then just so we could focus on this house, so we can even hide this. Let's see, ground mesh. And what is this ground? Is this another image? Oh yeah, it is. Or looks like it's a mesh that they just have in the scene. All right, so we have our house kind of, I'm just unchecking these to make them active. What I'd like to do is start to look at um, how we could apply some textures. Wood, this vertical kind of siding stuff. That could be wood siding painted white or aluminum or metal because it's a Barnadium. And so there's a couple of ways to do this. Um, One is you go into your browser and you go to at YouTube ad play. All right, so you go to CG Textures or textures.com and you click on free. And inside of here, you can do a search. Let me move this off for a second. And you could do a search inside of here for textures or these materials called PBR materials or substance materials, which we're not going to get into in this class. If we ever end up teaching an advanced class, I'll show you how to create these materials. They're pretty beautiful and amazing. We use them all the time in the industry. Even if we don't do an advanced class of this and you're just interested, let me know. But so inside of here, we can search the library and we might have to just save the thumbnails because I think there's only so many free ones you can get. So this is one option. Another option is just to Google search what you're looking for. So inside of Google, I typed in White House siding texture. And so you could see here, let's bring this back for a second. There's a lot of this type of, and it's important that you put texture there because it knows that it makes you, that you want it to be tiled like this. You can see there's a lot of different stuff. Here's a Shutterstock image. Here's Adobe stock. So if I click on this, I can actually say, you know what? I kind of like this. It might be a little repetitive if these two sides don't match up or are not tiled. That means it's seamless. So as the texture moves this way, so let's actually just kind of click on this and see if they'll let us download this for free. So it says it's got some watermarks in here. So this is a way of doing it, but I'm going to click on download preview and I'm just going to import this into our project. So inside of art here, environment, I'm going to make a new folder and I'm going to create this, I'm going to call this materials. And inside of here, I'm going to create another folder. And actually, you know what? Let me just right click and just sort of import this in because we might not necessarily have that many texture assets. So I'm going to grab my Adobe stock image here and you can see it placed a watermark on here. So we'll probably have to find another one later, but just for the sake of this exercise. And the cool thing about this is here, let's go back to these images here. Let me get this out of the way. If it's not an Adobe stock, sometimes you get like these free pics, this is like free download. And it's okay that it's going horizontal and not vertical. I'm going to show you how to fix that inside of Unity. But let's see if we can just click on images. We could find another one. Maybe this one, the Shutterstock image. We just want something like this person here. This is a pretty nice one because we know it's seamless because it's simple texture. And they wrote seamless in the title. So let's visit this. And it looks like they want us to have this for free. So let's click on this. Oh, no, they don't. I think I'm just going to make one for you guys in, in Photoshop or in Substance. Oh, here's one that's pretty nice. Part of the same thing. All right, let me take a moment and pause the video and find something that's free. So I went to this site, Filter Forge, and I just right clicked and I saved this image. And it looks pretty good. I mean, there's no white thing around it and it looks pretty well tiled. So I'm going to go ahead and just open this up and I'm going to drag this one into my project as well. And I'm going to drop that into materials here. All right, so what you want to do is you want to essentially create a material, and a material is a way of this is a texture, which is just the image, right? So let's go ahead and scale this up. And this texture has surface properties. And when we apply it to a surface, just like this image here on the bottom is a texture, it changes the look of the surface of the mesh. What you want to generally do is you want to say, okay, let's name this white siding underscore TXT for texture. And then what I normally do, or sometimes they'll put the name in the front, is I'll copy this and I'll right click on it. Oops. And I'll go to create and I'll just go to material and then I'll name this MTRL for material. All right, so now that we have a material, what it is we have this kind of ugly checker pattern. It's not ugly, it's actually kind of looks pretty nice. But we want to change it so that it looks like, or it matches, so that it looks a little bit more realistic. It has this siding on it. Now, this could be a kind of annoying task. So again, we're just kind of going through the motions. For people who love tedious tasks, you actually end up making a lot of money in the game industry because you end up doing all the tasks that nobody wants to do, and they give you massive raises and promotions and all that stuff. So like for me, I love tedium. All right, so let's take a look at go to Tools, Pro Builder. We're going to make sure this is open. And what we're going to do is I'm going to create a material. I'm going to add a material to our material editor here. And what this is a nifty tool that allows you to kind of stack up or build out each one of these slots. And as we apply them to here, they'll appear on the surface. But texturing or unwrapping is a two-step process. So let's kind of take a look at this on a much simpler object. So I'm going to go up top here, or let's make a new shape. And I'm just going to create a cube here, okay? And this will help us to better understand how to do this. And if you need further demos, please let me know in class. I'll be happy to demo it, or I'll make more videos for you. My intention of this is not to stress you out. I know it's a lot of information given to you quickly. I just want you to get as much as you can out of this class. Anyway, enough babbling. So you see that in this world, this material editor, there's these different slots. These slots that say none mean that there is no material there. So I'm going to grab my white siding tool. I'm going to drop it into Alt 3. And if I if I click Alt 3 on the keyboard, or I click this button here, it'll apply it to this object. And now you can see that it's all over this object. If I select this building and I apply it, you could see it applied it all to this object. Now, yours most likely will not look like mine. And the reason for that is because as you're modeling and you're moving things around, something called UVs, which are a 2D representation. So let's take a look at that. And the way that you see those is you don't go to Lightmap UV, you go to UV Editor. These things tend to get shifted around. Now, if you look at this, you could see mine look like this. Your probably doesn't look anything like this. So what we can do is we can double click the entire object, because whatever is merged, and we could just click planar here and then just move it off. Yours might end up in the middle. You can move it off to the side. And you could see right off the bat that we get some really funkiness with the shape of our building. Now, with our little guy here, you can see that each one of these faces represents a two-dimensional version of this cube. And the reason why they do that, and let me pause the video. I'm going to bring up an example from real life. Hold on a second. All right, so I typed into Google printed Coca-Cola can. Now, what you'll see here is the cans themselves, when they run through the machine, they're actually laid out pretty flat because it's easier to paint or texture or draw on or whatever print objects. They don't actually just draw it on the circular surface of the can. You can see here. So what they do is like it's printed in a mill. It's like printed on these flat metal sheets, and then they're wrapped, or they're formed into this shape to get these these different designs. Same thing with boxes. They're if you look at your Coca-Cola box, let's see, Coca-Cola box factory or something. Let's type that in. If you look at the trying to see if there was a place where they show the boxes being manufactured. Let's see. This doesn't help much, but generally the boxes are printed flat, and then they're assembled or they're put together. These boxes here are what I'm talking about, and then they're glued together and they're assembled later by a machine. And so the way that you're thinking about unwrapping or texturing your building is much the same way. So you can consider this like the box manufacturing position of the process. Now, the texture, which is this little section here in the middle, and if you don't see it, you have to turn this button on. What you can do is you could select these. I'm just kind of getting to a point here. Say we want to make sure that we want to edit this face individually, right? So if I move this around and I hit R, and that's the scale tool here, I can scale it up and notice that these get smaller because that texture is getting smaller across the surface. Or I can scale it down and I could place it even into like a single dot here. You could see now I'm just getting on this face just that gray color. See that? But if I scale it up, this edge here, this top edge, corresponds. So if I select this edge here, I'm going to hit W for my move tool. If I bring this up, you can see this edge corresponds with this right here. So if I bring this up like this, you can see, come on. Oh, you know what? This is, it's got snapping on. So let's go ahead and I want to show you something else. So generally, if you want to tweak these faces individually, you want to convert to manual mode. And then you could do things like planar, and that'll drop them all onto one surface. And then what you have to do is you have to go into each face individually. Let's see where that face is. It looks like it's down here, so I'll planar that. And that should now correspond a little bit better to why. Yeah, so now you can see it's behaving the way it should. Unless this is flipped. Let's see. And that's the other part of it. Yeah, so this is the bottom. So I can line that up this way. This is the top. So something like this. So it's just so you can kind of see how you can do that. And then if you want to, like you want this to be vertical, right? Because like in our reference, let me bring up that PureRef reference. So you can see here that that shingle material runs vertically like this. So when I'm grading this, I'm grading you more on just kind of like attempting to get them to be straight and all that stuff. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? If you're interested in doing this for a living, talk to me and we can get your portfolio pretty buttoned up, like if you really enjoy this process. Okay, so how do we go from, like let's take a look at this cube so we can get it so that it looks like we have, like these things matching seamlessly. Well, what you want to do is you generally want to select both sides, or really the whole thing, and you want to click this button that says box. And what that'll do is that'll lay out each face as a box. And so you can kind of go in here and you could select each side and just sort of line them up with how you want them to look, right? So like right now they're still going across. We haven't done we haven't essentially done the back and forth yet. Let's see. I mean, we haven't rotated them yet so that they go vertical, but we're just going around like this. And then this box is on the left side of this face, so I'll just place that here. And we have a top box, which can go here. And honestly, we don't even need to do the top because that's going to be a roof, but just to kind of show you. So this is like this, right? So we can go in here now and we can go to vertex mode, select all those vertices and click weld. And that did not weld the verts. Let's try that one more time. Let's hit the plus sign, see if we can increase this. Oh, that's a little bit too high. We'll do 0.2. And what that did is now when I click on these points, they became a welded point so that it makes it a little bit easier to move it around. Now, if I want to get these so that they're all vertical now, right, because I've got all these edges lined up, I can select all of these, hit E to rotate, E, and then I can just kind of rotate that vertically. And I suggest like practicing what I'm doing here like a couple times. And notice because I rotated, now those are all facing vertical. And if I hit R, which is my scale tool, and by the way, the Q, which is the panning tool, W, which is the moving tool, they're all right up here. E is the rotation, and then R is the scale tool. What I can do is I can go inside of here and I can scale this down, up. I can squish them depending on how I want those to be panned out. So this is where it gets a little bit tougher and why I picked a simpler building here. Is, well, how do I do that if I'm translating it to something that's huge like this? Well, what I tend to do is same thing as before. I double click the whole building. I make sure to convert it to manual and I hit box, right? So now I have all these pieces laid out like a box. And then I shift them all the way over here. And then what I do is I go in and I just sort of select all of the faces. That's what I'm saying. Give yourself ample time to do this so you don't kind of lose your mind or, because UVing is the part that some people tend to kind of get either bored of or whatever. And I just sort of lay this out with those different faces. So something like this. And I'm not having you all do the building, do the back of the building. I think for an introductory course, you might, because we still want to get into modeling interiors and doing lighting and stuff and part VFX. But again, I just don't want you to get too bored with all of that. All right, so let's see. Here's the front of our building. Let's kind of move this over this way. So these faces are here. So I'm going to scale them up just a little bit so they line up with the side of our building. And please, if you get stuck or whatever, let me know so I can help you. I'm going to try to get these lined up, and then I'm going to weld those edges later, those verts. And then let's grab the side of the building here. Just kind of line it up this way. Scale up the top. And I hope you bought a mouse like I told you. And also like take breaks because you're definitely gonna get some wrist pain. Okay, and where did this guy go? Oh, it's not merged onto it. Let's go back to object mode here and select both of these. And let's make sure to merge those together so we could see them both in our UVs. There we go. So now they appeared. All right, so let's go back to face mode here. And then we just need the back of the building here, which is this guy. Ooh, we also forgot this one, which is up here. So just going to place that on top. See, and you're creating like these two-dimensional like doll houses. I don't know if you ever, I used to do them in school where they would have us like cut out like paper pieces and we would build like paper houses and stuff. It was like an activity. Maybe we should have been doing math. I don't know, but I could see the similarity here to that activity we had in school. All right, so what I'm going to do is just select all these vertices and then hit weld and see if it welded them. Yeah, it welded pretty good. So if I click face mode here and I double click it, looks like this didn't fully. So I'm going to hold. I could also just drag a marquee. Now what I'm going to do is just get a little bit closer and I'm going to hit E and just rotate this. Oh, look at that. All right, let's try that one more time. Let's try welding that. Maybe 0.3. See if that fixed those things breaking apart. All right, let's try that one more time. Looks like these faces, there's something going on with these faces. Wonder if they're broken here. No, they're not broken here. Let me try doing one other thing, which is just replanar mapping it. Because sometimes that, are these auto here? Convert to auto. Oh, these are not manual. That's why. Convert to manual. Box that. Yeah, now that should. Sorry, you have to make sure that they're part of the same thing where you're converting it to auto is what we're doing here. That lets us to automatically play with these UVs and the shape and stuff, and that helped us to not mess it up. There we go. That welded. That should now. Something like this. Now you can see. Oh, and now those faces didn't get the same material. So let's either press Alt-3 on the keyboard. Bloop. And now you can see it applied it. Now what I'm going to do is scale this down a ton. And don't worry, we're only going to do this for the sides of the house and the roof. in a couple of the posts. But now you can see we've got pretty good coverage. Let's take a look at our reference. It should be thinner. So we can just sort of, again, I'm just looking at this game window to see. And honestly, if you get me something like this, that's like an A. It's 100% an A. Make sure to hit Control S to save it. And now we've got essentially those things here. We don't have our windows yet. We don't have our doors or the wood beams. And we'll get a roof and stuff maybe in the next lesson. But yeah. And if you need help, again, please, 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 please reach out to me. We can do it through Zoom, or I don't mind coming on campus to meet in person.